I have a little section here that's kind of a natural segue from video game to real hockey. And that is to talk about, Endo and I talked about EA NHL 22 ratings for goaltenders and defensemen, and leading up to today, the top 10 skaters for center and both wing positions were released.
I'm gonna pull those up right now, too.
Feel free. I mean, I got them here in front of me as well, and we'll read them off, right? We'll start off at center, which was announced today. Highest rated player. He is the highest rated player in the game. Surprise, surprise, at a 95. It's Connor McDavid. There's no controversy there. We move on. I guess people could say he should be a 99, but then we get into the debate of how good is his defense actually, and shouldn't a 99 be a perfect player? And it's not really worth that discussion, at least not right now. Then you have a trio of McKinnon, Crosby, and Draisaitl, all at a 93. You could argue a point or two here and there, but the idea is they're still amongst the elite players in the league. Again, I don't see a disagreement there either. You have Austin Matthews at number 5 as a 92. No disagreement from me on that one. Patrice Bergeron and Jack Eichel, both at a 91. I guess this is healthy Jack Eichel. Out of Buffalo Jack Eichel. And then, the reason why I wanted to bring up these centers is the bottom 3. You have Sasha Barkov at a 90. Well deserved. Anze Kopitar, still kicking in at a 90. Is this podcast still number 1 in Slovenia? I don't know, but we still have Anze Kopitar around here. And then Steven Stamkos. The top response is number 1, he's more of a winger now. And then the second response I saw was, how is he in over Braden Point? Braden Point disrespect.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to mind. Is Braden Point not being there is pretty wild. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you go ahead, keep going there.
I mean, again, though, my response to this on Twitter was simply, hey, just wait until December. Because these conversations don't matter as much at this point. I mean, they'll affect Versus and everything like that, but that was an interesting one, but not quite anything like prior years where Drew Doughty was still kicking around over a 90 overall. There's nothing egregious there. There's no legacy rating there. For left wings, although go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think overall, here's my take on the centers. I definitely Point to me should be in the top 10. I think everything, I actually think Austin Matthews might actually be more so in the 93, 94 range. Personally, I think just his scoring ability gets him up there. And actually, I think Barkov is better than the 90. And I want to hear your thoughts because I watched a little bit more of Florida stuff, their games because of like Wenberg and Duclair going there being like Jackets previously. So I watched them play a good amount, and you still see just ridiculous plays from Barkov, and just that he's that tall centerman. He's plays both sides very well. A 90 seems kind of low to me.
I don't disagree. I think it's I think it's a little bit of anti-Florida bias. Personally, I think it's going on for both teams to not have Braden Point a little bit higher rated there either. So I don't know. It's that was an interesting one for me though too. Was Barkov kicking in at a 90? Again, not that I dislike Anze Kopitar, but I'd take Barkov over Kopitar at this point, and for the next decade, of course, because hey, Anze's getting up there. Speaking of getting up there, we get to the left wings, and Alex Ovechkin, the ageless wonder, is the highest rated left wing at a 92. And then right behind him, you have Brad Marchand and Artemi Panarin at 91. Should either one of them, if not both, be higher rated than Alex Ovechkin? I know my response.
So I think if you're going to take like a overall player, I think it's tough because here's my thing. Obviously Ovechkin's, you could argue he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. If we're looking at like individual attributes, he 100% deserves to have the best shooting out of anybody. Hands down, I'll die on the throne to that. Right? That is for sure. He's the best shooter in my opinion. But I think if you're looking at overall as player, I think like Panarin I would actually probably argue that Panarin could be the best winger. Huberdeau could be up there as well. And I know Tougie, I know you're a Boston guy. Like, And as much as from having the series against the Jackets in Boston a couple years ago, as much as I don't like Brad Marchand, I respect him as a player. He's a great player. He's a fantastic guy.
That's all we ask from this fan base. That's
right?
all we
like
ask.
I mean, because you know damn well that everybody who says, oh, what people like always, oh, he's a rat, like get him off the team, like
he earned it.
You would love him on, like I would love him on the Jackets, like straight up, like every team would love to have him. It's just he's that one guy that everyone it's so hard to play against. So, but to have Ovechkin as the first left winger, I would say more so third or fourth.
I think that's fair at this point. Endo, any disagreement?
I think so too. I mean, Ovi's been kind of like for the past, like he's still like a dynamic like player in the offensive zone, but I don't really see him playing much defense. He is a little bit older. He obviously is known for that shot, and I think he's more looking to break the record as soon as possible if he can. So I think maybe number one. I don't know.
See, I think, too, something that we're underrating this year now is X factors being in the game. Because it can allow someone like an Alex Ovechkin to have a lower overall but still have that dynamic offensive ability that he still has. And I think we're going to slowly transition into that. I can't say for certainty or with certainty why, things are the way they are with certain guys still having higher overalls. I feel like a lot of it's connected to trade value within franchise mode, because what happens if you make Alex Ovechkin an 89? Yes, he still has great offense, but does that drop the value too much? There's a whole balancing game behind the scenes that they're definitely playing there. For other left wings, Huberdeau is at a 90, so he's fourth amongst left wings, which again deserved. I'll mention these three. Kirill Kaprizov, Kyle Connor, and Matthew Tkachuk, all at an 88. That might be the fastest ascension to an 88 overall since like NHL 2006.
Yeah, 100%. And he really took off. I think for me, I really took notice of him getting towards the end of last season, and seeing some of the highlights. I mean, he is a stud. But just for how ratings go, like you said, getting to an 88 that quickly, because he probably was maybe an 80 or an 81 like late end of last year. So that's I mean, I think Austin Matthews, even after his rookie season, was still like an 87 or an 88 in that following season. So you're spot on there.
I will say Connor, Tkachuk also both where they should be, I would say, up in that ranking. Then we have Johnny Gaudreau, Gabe Landeskog, and Jake Gensel. The disrespect to Jake Gensel was my first assessment. I think this is one of the more underrated kind of players in the game. I don't know if it's a matter of the people behind the scenes with the ratings thinking he's just a product of Sidney Crosby, but this is just as disrespectful, if not more, than Braden Point not being on the list to me.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. And I think from, obviously the Penguins being a huge rival, I got to see a lot of the games in person whenever the Jackets played Pittsburgh and Columbus. And I can definitely say like him and Gensel or Gensel and Crosby work extremely well together. It's like feels like they've been playing. I know they have been playing for years now, but like they just have that connection that, you wish your top line always had. And maybe, like you said, maybe that's part of it. Maybe they feel like, well, hey, maybe Crosby's carrying more of a heavy load. And then I'd have to really check to see what, statistically speaking, and I know it's not all about analytics and stats, but like how Jake Gensel performs when Crosby's like not on the ice or not on his line. And maybe that had to do something with it. I don't know. That's above my knowledge, but who knows?
It is always interesting to look at stats like that, right? Like, okay, you have especially someone like Crosby who has the reputation of making everyone around him better, allowing Pittsburgh to spend money in other places along, the way to winning cups. So
does he still do the 8.7?
Yeah,
8.7 million for his, I think his contract.
Yes, sir.
I think it was like a superstition.
Yes, he does.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yep, that deal expires.
That, like I said, it keeps cap room open, keeps space open. So.
He has 3 years left on a deal, still worth an 8.7 cap hit. He's 34. It's ridiculous.
Tougie, I think I actually got you on mute for a sec.
Yeah, I think you hit your mic button.
Oh, we're good. Yep. Hey, well, there we go. Gotta love it. It's the one thing, man. We're doing podcasts a little bit differently than we used to. There's one button I got to avoid, but it works for what else I'm doing in the background. Anyway, yeah, Crosby is at he's got 3 more years left at 8.7 at 34 years old. It's a cheat code. Penguins fans are very spoiled. Yeah. The right wingers as well. We'll round this off. Patrick Kane, Nikita Kucherov, both at 92s. Do we agree with this? Because I don't know how I feel.
I still think I actually do like Kane at 1. I still think he's the most dynamic winger in the game. Just can score in any moment, can throw a wicked pass. Obviously, Kucherov can score from anywhere. I think Mark Stone maybe being an 89 might be a little low. And the only reason I say that is because, granted, he's a great two-way winger. Like defensively, he plays very, very well. And I think maybe just attribute-wise, it's hard to bump people up through their defensive play. But I do like Pasta at 91. I think that's perfect. If it was like postseason edition, I'd say bump him up to 93, 94. I swear he turns it on when it matters. So I don't know. I think I was actually thinking earlier about Wheeler, and then Scheifele's a center, so that actually makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I think this is pretty good.
The one exemption, so the rest of the list is Rantanen and Marner at 90s. No disagreement. They could even be higher. Stone at an 89. Alex DeBrincat at an 88. There were some Hawks fans saying, oh, well, Kane and ADB aren't in the same spot. Secondary positions are a thing. Wheeler at an 88. Svechnikov and Besser at 87s. I think a lot of Jets fans would say drop Blake Wheeler and bump up Nick Ehlers. I think Nick Ehlers is another one of those guys alongside Braden Point who is still very, very much not getting the respect he deserves.
Right. And then Kyle Connor, I would say he's a left wing. I think he is.
He was on the left wing list.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and that's another player. He's always been pretty quiet, and I don't know if it's because of maybe just the media isn't as much in Winnipeg, just having as much eyes on him. But just looking at the score sheets after every, it's like you look at goals. It's like, oh, if Scheifele or Wheeler scores, it's probably coming from Ehlers, or power play goal from assist from Ehlers. So I know for at least playing in the game, he was actually one of my favorite cards to use. He's just a cheaper hot card and super fast. So I wish that is the one player I do wish I would have seen, because I don't think I've ever seen Winnipeg play in person. It'd be really cool to see them all play together. In person, especially putting Wheeler out there, who's 6'6". I mean, that's got to be a fun line to play on.
Absolutely. So, boys, anything else to add, or shall we move on to our Metro Division breakdown here, which we might have to scurry through a little bit. I'll say, Cookie, as we get closer towards the time that we said, oh yeah, this will probably be our recording time. If you have to say, hey, I gotta go, then by all means, feel free to interject.
Actually, I'm going to throw something out there real quick, too, if you're cool with it. I actually have a very strong opinion about the defenseman for 22.
By all means, defensemen or goalies, any takes?
Yeah, so kind of, and I'll kind of, 92 overall with Victor Hedman being the best in the league. Roman Josi at a 90, same with John Carlson. Then Pietrangelo and Cale Makar, 89 and 88 respectively. Dougie Hamilton also an 88. Is it Chabot or Chabot? How do you pronounce that?
Thomas Chabot.
Thomas Chabot, 88. McAvoy, Adam Fox, and Werenski at 87. So my first thing is I think Seth Jones should be on this top 10. And I also think that Werenski is a little lower. I think he actually should be, I think he's low for this. I think he should probably be more so an 88 or an 89, in my opinion. I like Dougie Hamilton up there. I love Cale Makar. I think he is one of the most, if not the most talented defenseman in the league. Guy just makes things happen out of nothing. It's just as a pure skater, he's unbelievable to watch. I actually think, other than I think Seth Jones should be on this list, maybe ahead of, Tougie, maybe ahead of McAvoy. I think it's pretty good. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Your opinions are very much against the grain of analytics, is what I'll say. But Seth Jones is arguably the most polarizing player in the league from an on-ice perspective. He is one of those guys where he might be the poster boy right now for having watched him play an 82-game season, eye test versus analytics. the McAvoy shout's a little bit disrespectful, but that's okay. There's some disrespectful ratings there. I think Adam Fox, after that Norris season last year, probably deserves to be higher than that. Especially Kaprizov is higher rated than Adam Fox. I don't know. Calder versus winning a Norris at that point, it's one of those that surprises me. But I can't hate on the Seth Jones take because, again, he's just such a polarizing player, and it's going to be the next couple of seasons now that he's in Chicago that really dictates who was on the right side, I guess, for lack of a better term, at this point in time in terms of how people feel about Seth Jones.
Yeah, and you make a great point about that kind of eye test versus analytics, because I think, as obviously someone who is a Jackets guy, I watch a lot of the games, and he's playing at least 30 minutes, a night. So just the pure ice time being out there, it's like obviously you're bound to have a little bit more. Your plus minus is definitely going to be lower the more you're out there. But I think with some of the young talent we had in Columbus, it was kind of a necessity to have those guys out there all the time. So I'm hoping this year, and I expect Seth Jones to have a great year. In Chicago, I think he's got a great supporting cast there with him. Super excited because he gets to play with Caleb too, so that's going to be super fun to watch. And like you said, this year will be kind of, can they prove that eye test versus analytic test? Does it really, is there really a difference there or a matter there? So I'm excited for it.
Interesting enough. Endo, anything else to add, or shall we get into that division breakdown here?
No. I think you guys make good points. I think there's a little bit of Columbus blue bias there from Cookie, but it's fine.